Hello and welcome. Today we're gonna open some Crimson packs, so let's get into it. Let's see what we're gonna get here. Ooh, nice. Deathcap Glade. The Skull King Killer gets -2/-2 until end of turn. New Vampire, Blood-Tithe Harvester. Harvester enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Sacrifice Harvester and target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is twice the number of blood tokens you control. Well, that's not bad. Torrens, Fist of the Angels. Well, maybe that's useful. We'll see. Voldaren Estate, very nice. That goes directly into the Vampire deck. Hamlet Vanguard. Oh, that's interesting. War 2. Hamlet Vanguard enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it for each other non-token human you control. Well, that could be nice in a human deck. Definitely. Another Torrens, Fist of the Angels. It's a nasty name. Winged Portent. An instant, draw a card for each creature you control. With flying, okay? Five-Heart Shaman. It's a human. Whenever Shaman attacks, you may search your library for basic land card that doesn't share a land type with a land you control. Put that card onto the battlefield and shuffle. Well, maybe. Not quite sure. Volatile Arsonist. Menace and Haste, 4/4. Whenever Volatile Arsonist attacks, it deals 1 damage to each of up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player, and or up to 1 target planeswalker. Well, that's not bad, I guess. That's interesting. Voldaren Bloodcaster. Well, this one is a great one. Whenever Voldaren Bloodcaster or another non-token creature you control dies, create a blood token. When you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, transform Voldaren Bloodcaster, and it gains, at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste. That's not bad. That's a really good card. One more, Deathcap Glade. Olivia's Attendants. Whenever Olivia Attendants deals damage, create that many blood tokens. Well, it's a little bit too expensive. Not sure it will be playable. One more of Olivia's attendants. Dominating Vampire. When Dominating Vampire enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of vampires you control at the end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. Might be okay in a vampire deck. Not sure. Well, I have to try it. Oh, one more of the Voldaren Bloodcaster. That's good. Mythic wildcard. Another mythic wildcard. Well. A rare wildcard. Third Fist of the Angels here. Olivia, Crimson Bride. That's not bad. That's a good draw. Densia Uprising. An enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 red human creature token. Then, if you control exactly 13 permanents, you may sacrifice Densia Uprising. When you do, sorry, it deals 7 damage to any target. Maybe, not sure about that card. A Cemetery Gatekeeper. As first strike, when Cemetery Gatekeeper enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. This card will definitely go into my Boros Burn deck, I think. I will have to try it with 4 of these. Yep, let's see. Another Alchemist Gambit here. Oh no, this is the first one. So this is take a turn. Take an extra turn after this one. During that turn, damage can't be prevented. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game unless you play the cleave cost here. This will definitely see a lot of play, I guess. Cultivator Colossus. It's a huge one. It has Trample. Cultivator Colossus power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. So that means any land. When Cultivator Colossus enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. Well, maybe. Maybe in a ramp deck it's playable. So that's a Vampire Cleric. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. That's not too bad. That might be useful in a Cleric deck or a Vampire deck, I'm not sure. We'll definitely try this card. I think it might have some potential. Kessig Wolf Rider. It has menace. Exile 3 cards from graveyard, create a 3/2 red wolf creature token. Well, I mean, not too bad. I mean, it's only costs 1 red mana and has menace and is 1/2. So that's not bad. And has an upside later on if it survives. Inspired ID. 2 and a blue. Draw 3 cards. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 3 for the rest of the game. Well, unless you play the cleave. That seems quite expensive. For 5 mana you can draw 3 cards. I don't see it replacing our current meta for card drawing. Oh, yeah, we'll see. Oh, Sundown Pass, that's a good one. I definitely need those. That's a good draw. Another dominating vampire. Doll House of Horrors. Cost 1 and tap, exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of the exiled card, except it's a 0/0 construct artifact in addition to its other types, and it has this creature gets +1/+1 for each construct you control. It gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Well, not sure we have so much constructs in this standard rotation as we have now. I haven't looked into it. That's the third of the Death Cap Glade. Hallowed Hunting. An enchantment. As long as you control 7 or more enchantments, creature you control have flying and vigilance. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a White Spirit Cleric token with this creature's power and toughness are equal. Toughness are each equal to the number of spirits you control. Maybe, maybe it's possible to do a spirit enchantment deck now. There are getting to be quite a lot of spirits, so we'll definitely have to try build a spirit deck. Another inspired ID. Welcoming Vampire. Flying. Whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. That's not too bad. This might be a good 3-drop. Depending on the cost of all the vampires in the deck. Or in a white deck it might be useful. And we'll definitely keep an eye on this one. Cemetery Desecrator. Menace. A zombie. When Cemetery Desecrator enters the battlefield or dies, exile another card from a graveyard. When you do, choose 1. Remove X counters from target permanent, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Target creature an opponent controls get -X until end of turn, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Quite expensive. 6 mana for a 4/4. But it has removal, but I think it's a little bit too expensive unless you can ramp into it quickly. Not sure. Not sure about that one. That's another wing portent. Another sundown path. That's good. I need those. So 2 more and I have a full set. A Shattered Sanctum, the first one. That's good. Edgar, Charmed Groom. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. When Edgar Charmed Groom dies, return it to the battlefield, transform under its owner's control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white and black vampire creature token with lifelink and put a bloodline counter on Edgar. Then if there are 3 or more blood counters on it, remove those counters and transform it. So then it will go back. Guess it's a good 4-drop in a vampire deck. Definitely have to try it. Curse of Hospitality. Enchant player. Creatures attacking enchanted player have trample. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to enchanted player, that player exiles the top card of their library. Until end of turn, that creature's controller may play that card and they may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Maybe. I have to think about this card more. Not sure. Old Rutstein. A legendary human peasant. When Old Rutstein enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. If a land card is milled this way, create a treasure token. If a creature card is milled this way, create a 1/1 green insect token. If a non-creature, non-land card is milled this way, create a blood token. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, it's a lot of value from one card. It's a great blocker. That's interesting card. Patchwork Crawler. 2 and 1 blue, exile target creature from your graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Crawler. Patchwork Crawler has all activated abilities of all creature card exiled with it. Well, that's quite interesting card. Definitely interesting. Yeah, I think I definitely want to try do a zombie deck with this card. This can be interesting combos to do with it. If it works, I don't know, man. Seems fun at least. You take wild card. Rare wild card. Hopeful Initiate. Training. Pay 2 and a white, remove 2 +1/+1 counters from among creature control. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Yeah, this is definitely a card that can go into a mono white deck. I do like it. We'll definitely have to try this one. Investigator's Journal. The clue: Investigator's Journal enters the battlefield with a number of suspect counters on it equal to the greatest number of creatures a player controls. Remove a counter from the journal and draw a card. Sacrifice it and draw a card. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely usable. Well, this one is not bad at all, I think. Tap it, and it deals 2 damage to you. Exile the top card of your library, and you can play that card. And if you play the card that exile with the Visionary, transform it into a 4/3. I mean, that's not too bad. Creepy Puppeteer. It has haste. Whenever Creepy Puppeteer attacks, if you attack with exactly one other creature this combat, you may have that creature's base power and toughness become 4/3 until end of turn. Not sure. A rare. That's the 4th of the Deathcap Glade. Another inspired ID. This is the 2nd Olivia. So then I think we have enough of this one for a vampire deck. Pack Piper. This spell can't be countered. 1 and a green and tap it. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If it's a wolf or werewolf, untap Pack Piper. Activate only as sorcery. And on 9th side, whenever this creature enters the battlefield and transforms into Wildsong Howler, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. I mean, it's not too bad. Might see some play this one. Wedding Announcement. At the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on Wedding Announcement. If you attack with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Then, if Wedding Announcement has 3 or more invitation counters on it, transform it. And then creature you control get +1/+1. Seems a bit too slow, but maybe it's playable in a more controllable deck to create blockers to make you survive longer until you draw the cards you need. Maybe. That's the 2nd of the Cemetery Desecrator. And another one of the Wolf Rider. So that makes it 2. Oh, and we got the 3rd of the Voldaren Bloodcaster. That's nice. Then we only need to craft 1 at this point. Enrica Domnati. It's a legendary vampire. Has flying. At the beginning of your combat, on your turn, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Each player sacrifices a creature. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. Transform Enrica Domnati. And if it transforms, it becomes a flying, death touch, and lifelink. And you can pay 1 and 2 black, and each creature control with flying, death touch, and or lifelink gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Maybe it's a little bit expensive, I think, 4 mana for 1/3 flyer. However, it is a removal, and you can draw a card with it as well. So yeah, maybe it's interesting. Krolnok the Omnivore. It's a frog. Whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you own in exile while counters on them. Maybe it's an interesting card. Definitely have to try it at some point. Consuming Tide. Sorcery. For 4, each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. Return all non-land permanents not chosen this way to their owner's hands. Then you draw a card for each opponent who has more cards in the hand than you. Not sure. I mean, it's a lifesaver. Might be playable. I'm not sure what I will put it in at the first glance. Bruno Stormkirk is a legendary vampire cleric. So it's flying, and when Bruno enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature from your graveyard on top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If a creature card with mana value 6 or greater is revealed this way, transform Bruno, and it becomes Lord of the Deep. It has flying, and whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those tokens instead. Well, that's interesting. Geralt, Visionary Stitcher. It's a human wizard. Some zombies you control have flying. Pay 1 blue and tap, sacrifice another non-token creature. Create an XX blue zombie creature token where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness. So if you sacrifice itself, it will become 4/4. Another wildcard, mythic wildcard. Sigarda Summons, enchantment, creature control with +1/+1 counters on them have a base power and toughness 4/4, have flying and are angels in addition to the other types. Another one of that one. So that's the first, yeah. Cemetery Illuminator. A spirit. It's flying, and whenever Cemetery Illuminator enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. On each turn, you may cast a spell from the top of your library, which shares a card type with a card exiled with the Illuminator. Yeah, not bad at all. Demonic Bargain. It's a sorcery. Exile the top 13 cards of your library, then search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand and shuffle. Maybe. Rare. Wild card. Lantern Flare. An instant. Lantern Flare deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. X is the number of creatures you control. So if you pay the cleave, you can just tap mana to do damage to any creature or planeswalker. Yeah, not too bad. Another creepy puppeteer. Mythic Wild card. That's the third of the attendants. And Dying to Serve, enchantment. Whenever you discard one or more cards, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Blood Vial Purveyor. It's a 5/6 for 4 mana. Flying Trample. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player creates a blood token. Whenever a Blood Vial Purveyor attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each blood token defending player controls. It has a huge body. I will definitely try this card, but I'm not sure it's gonna hold up. But we'll have to try it at least. Another Lantern Flare. Dream Shackle Gazed. Another spirit with flying. At the beginning of a combat on your turn, choose up to 1, tap target creature. Target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap phase. This seems like a strong card. Definitely playable in a spirit deck. Greenroot Cascade. Anje, Maid of Dishonor, legendary vampire. Whenever Anje or one or more other vampires enter the battlefields under your control, create a blood token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Sacrifice another creature or blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That's not bad. That seems like a good card. Have to try to play it in the vampire deck. Another welcoming vampire here. Change of Fortune. Sorcery. Discard your hand and draw a card for each card you discarded this turn. That might be useful actually. Another Dream Shackle. Another Giralf. Got 2 of those now. Another wedding announcement. That's 2 or 3 of those. Katilda, Dawnheart Martyr. Cost 1 and 2 white. It has flying and lifelink and protection from vampires. And Katilda's power and toughness are equal to the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. Well, this is definitely a nice card for the spirit deck. And it can come back as an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature has flying, lifelink, and protection from vampires, and it gets +X, where X is the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. Well, that's not bad at all. I will definitely have this one in a spirit deck. That's the third of Olivia. So Concealing Curtains, the Defender, and you can transform it into the Revealing Eye. Menace, and when it transforms, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do that, play a discard that card and draws a card. Oh, that's interesting. Ascendant Pack Leader. So this will definitely go into a werewolf deck. It enters with the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on it if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on the pack leader. Well, this is a good card. Definitely. Ruth, Tormented Prophet. If you will draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. You may play those cards this turn. Well, that's interesting. Jacob Hawken, Inspector. Tap, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand face down. You may look at the card for as long as it remains exiled. You may pay 4 and 2 blue. If you do, transform Inspector into a legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library face down. You may look at the card for as long as it remains exiled. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land or cast a spell from among the card exiled with this permanent without paying its mana cost. Well, this seems like actually like a really good card in a control deck. I will definitely want to try this one. Maybe I have to try to craft one more, so I have 2 of these to test it out. Another Hollowed Hunting. This could maybe go into a spirit deck. Well, that's the first one. Cemetery Prowl. It has vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type that they share with card exile with Cemetery Prowler. It's not that bad. Definitely have to try it out. So that's the second of the Gambit. Falconrat Forebear. 2 and a black. It has flying. It can't block. Whenever Falconrat Forebear deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token. Sacrifice 2 blood tokens. Return Falconrat Forebear from your graveyard to the battlefield. Well, this is not bad. This can be really annoying to deal with. So, yeah, this is an interesting card for the Vampire deck. That's another rare wild card. Hullbreaker Horror. It has flash, it can't be countered. When you cast a spell, choose up to 1, return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Well, this is probably a great card for control decks. Definitely need to try it in a Saurius deck or something, or a Mono Blue maybe. So that's the second of Edgar. So we got 2 of those. I don't think we need more. That's the third of the Dominating Vampire. And last pack. Glorious Sunrise. An enchantment. At the beginning of your combat, on your turn, choose 1. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. Target land gains add 3. Or draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater. Or gain 3 life. Maybe. Interesting card. It's a little bit expensive, but it has a lot of value. Definitely interesting. That's it. So thank you for watching, and remember, if you like my content, please subscribe, leave a comment down below, like the videos, and I'll see you next time. And until then, have a good day.